Hey guys, welcome to this week's training. Today I'm going to talk about how to avoid spam when buying an expired domain. Now, I've spoken to a lot of people recently who are looking for domains and they check the backlinks, they check the metrics, they check the age, the index, but they miss one extremely important component, which is the archives. The archives really tell you a complete picture of what the site was used for in the past, and I'll show you how, by not checking it, how you can be possibly picking up a junk site. So before we get into that, I want to direct your eyes onto this guide that we've created. Now, the reason I want to do this is because if you have no idea how to check for the backlinks or the general quality of a site, then don't even bother looking at the archive yet, because if the site is spammed in the anchor text, or if the site just has poor metrics overall, or poor backlinks linking to it, then you don't even need to go into checking the archive. Okay, so this guide that we've created tells you all that, right? It's step by step. Check the referring domains, manually review, backlink, anchor text, etc. And then down here we even talk about the archives in more detail. But with checking the archives, there's actually a lot of subtleties that I want to show you, and I think you'll get a lot out of it in this video. So again, I'm going to post this guide at the bottom of this video if you're new to this. We also have a PDF here if it takes too long, you can hand it over to a VA or whatever. Anyway, enough about that. Let's close this. So let's get back to talking about the archives, okay? Now, first of all, what is the archive? The archive basically takes snapshots of your website at different points in time. So each of these black links, or black lines, sorry, represents one screenshot. So you can see there's multiple screenshots by the archive. In 2013, there's one in 2011, one in 29, and then there's a lot more in 2004, right? So what that tells me is there's a lot of activity going on in 2004, so the archive took a lot of screenshots. In 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, the site was probably expired. It was probably parked by the registrar, so that's why you don't see much activity. And then again, the site was probably resurrected for whatever reason, and again, the archive started picking it up again. Okay, so really, by examining each of these screenshots at the different points in time, we could see what the site was used for in the past. Okay. So really the only way to learn this is to look at examples. So I'm going to be going through some good examples just to show you what it should look like, and then examples of bad sites which could be easily mistaken for good sites. Okay, so let's head over to my browser. Alright guys, so the first thing you've got to do is head over to archive.org. Now what you'll see here is a section you can fill in your site, so just put your site in here. Now I'm just going to put in a good site. This isn't even an expired domain, but I just want to show you what it should look like. Okay, so if you click on browse history, you'll see the whole calendar come up. You'll see all these screenshots at different points in time. Now what I want to show you is that if you click on any point in time, the site will look pretty much the same. Okay, so the first date we selected was July 2nd, 2014. You can see this is what it looks like. Canadian Healthcare Network is a destination for Canadian doctors, pharmacists, nurses, blah, blah, blah. Now if we click on another point in the past, let's say March 2nd, 2012. So now we're looking at the site in the 2 years prior to that, in 2012, and you can see that it's exactly the same. Okay, so this site is a very legitimate site, and this is what a good site should look like. Okay, so now let's look at some example bad sites. Okay, now here's a site that I pulled. It's called icbdcc.com. What I've done is I've put the site already in archive, and I clicked on the April 19, 2010 screenshot. Okay, so you can tell back then the site was used for International Conference on Biodiversity and Climate Change. Okay, now I want to stress that just because the site doesn't look pretty right now, right? It doesn't look like there's a theme. It doesn't look like they really used a layout. That's not always a bad sign, because sometimes the archive doesn't take a proper screenshot of it, so you can't really judge a site by its layout. Okay, What you got to really look for is the content, the text, the outgoing links, and all that. Okay, so right now we can see that in the past, in 2010, this site was used for biodiversity and climate change. Okay, now if we just click on the site at different points in the future, so let's just click on September 19, 2013. Okay, so right away we can see that this site was used for Japanese, some sort of Japanese, looks like makeup or whatever, right? So instantly we know that we can already assume that this site was spammed. Now I'm not saying that all Japanese sites are bad, but if a site was used for climate change and biodiversity and is now used for Japanese makeup, then there's a high chance that the site is bad. Okay, so in this case, this is a definite site that you don't want to buy. So let's take a look at another example. So here's another example, again, archive.org. I'm going to throw this site in called Zanesville, the novel. Sounds like it's some site about a book because it's called the novel. So let's just click on some point in the past, okay? So I'm going to just see what the site was about before. Now you can see it's doing a redirect to another page on a site. It's basically redirecting to the same site but a different page. So that's not always, that's not a bad sign at all. A lot of sites do that actually. So looks like a very legitimate site. This is about a book, I guess. Billard books. Okay, so it was about a book in the past. So let's see what it was used for right now. So let's click at some point in the future. So I decided to click on the most recent one. And you can see page not found, so let's keep digging. Again, nothing on this page. So again, keep looking at just different points in time, just to see if we could pick up any clues. Again, nothing. Nothing. So as we click through, we'll see some other things. So this is just a park page, right? See GoDaddy. So this is nothing to worry about. Basically, when a site expires, it goes into a park state. So this is what happens. Actually, I just noticed that I was looking at the page and not the actual domain itself. Okay, so I'm gonna have to backtrack. Okay, so this is what we get, right? So in the past, remember, it was a book site. Now we see a lot of this looks very much like a PR site, right? Even without the layout, or even if we ignore the layout, right? We can see very very optimized anchor text, so quality sportswear, forex signals, liquid calcium. Okay, this is exactly how we would structure our PR sites, and this is exactly what it was used for in the past, right? So diabetic stuff applies. So there's a good chance that if a site was used for a PR site in the past, and the site was dropped, it probably means that the site was de-indexed, and so you definitely don't want to pick up one of those up. So here's another one called Chicago Tech Today. Again, so again, I'm going to just check to see what it was used for in the past. Now you can see right away that Chicago's Technology Development Initiative. Okay, again, don't worry too much about the layout. It's not the most important thing. Okay, so now let's take a look at what it was used for right now. Okay, so again, I'm just kind of looking at different periods. So this kind of looks one period because it's all clumped together, and then this is just some, another period. So you can see that this site was used for technology, books, and computer sales. And you can see it's drastically different, right? It looks like they were using this site for, selling computer parts and electronical components, stuff like that. So obviously the purpose of the site has changed a lot. It looks like they turned this into a money site that is probably now de-indexed and is probably not going to come back because the site was dropped. So again, this is something you want to avoid. Okay. So just to recap what we've seen so far, we've looked at a good site, right? Canadian Health Care Network. We looked at a site with Japanese anchors. We looked at Zanesville, the novel, which was a PR, well, a PBN site. It's more accurate. And then we just looked at Chicago Tech Today, which was a repurposed money site. So now let's look at Carolyn's Universe, because this one is actually very sneaky, and this is very important to be aware of because a lot of people will miss this. So again, archive.org. Just throw in your URL. Okay, so let's look at what the site was used for in the past. Okay, so I'm in the year 2000 right now. You can see right here, and it looks like, I'm not really sure what the site is about, to be honest. It's probably about some music or whatever. Anyway, this is what the site looks like. Very, very, it doesn't look like a good site, but it's very legitimate, right? This is what a lot of sites looked like back in 2000. Now, again, going by the periods, right? Again, I usually probably think of this as one period. Everything here is probably another period, so it's important to check, what it was used for recently. So from first glance, the site right now looks exactly the same, right? A normal person, an untrained eye, would probably just think that the owner had resurrected the site, okay? Because it looks exactly the same. Didn't look like they changed anything. Doesn't have any spammy anchor text or anything. Doesn't have any, outgoing links or whatever, right? So it looks perfectly fine. But actually, if you scroll to the bottom, right, you'll notice a lot of spammy anchor text. Now here we're talking about like Marlboro cigarettes, social media advantages, SEO services. Now let's check other points in time, okay? Okay, so I just clicked on other points in time, and you can see the anchor text down here has changed, right? So buy Newport cigarettes online, loans, bad loans with bad credit, personal loans, stuff like that, right? So you can see that this site was, although it looks very legitimate, it was used for some very, very spammy anchor text, and this site, has obviously been penalized. You definitely don't want to buy this site. So this is one thing I've actually noticed with a lot of sites now. They like to throw on the old layout and the old theme, and then at the bottom of the footer links they just throw in some optimized anchor text, just like this, okay? So this is very easy to overlook, so I'd be very careful when you're checking the archive. So with that all said and done, let me just actually review what we've looked at again before I conclude. So we've reviewed some good sites, right? And then we've reviewed some bad sites, so some Japanese anchors, others that were used as PBN sites, some that was used as a repurposed money site, and then finally the sneaky footer links, okay? So those are the main ones that you need to look out for. I hope you've learned something. I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching, and look out for our next video next week. Talk to you soon.